I
And
made $5,000.
$5,000
Yes, I made $5,000. And I know this because I kept receipts for everybody
for
that
so
came.
far.
And I didn't realize that how much, like, I love Christmas. I didn't realize how much people love decorating for Christmas until
Mm.
this. It was just so eye opening. And it was just so, and it was a lot of fun.
Welcome to Open Talk. My name's Lynn. Today I have Jennifer, better known as CCVintageResale on Poshmark. So excited to talk to you, Jen. How are you doing
Yes.
today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, Lynn?
I'm doing great. For those that don't know who you are, you want to tell them a little bit about themselves or yourself and what you do? Just a
Yeah,
little bit about your background.
absolutely. My name is Jen. I'm CC Vintage Resale. I have been reselling on Poshmark since 2015. What I sell a little bit of everything. I have luxury, I have designer, I have clothing, mostly clothing, kids stuff, vintage, of course. And I do a lot of selling on Poshmark and then also cross list to other platforms, but also sell some things locally too.
So your name is CC Vintage Resale. Does that mean that when you originally started, you started with vintage?
When we moved to Texas, it was something that my husband and I really enjoyed doing. Like we would go to estate sales and do all those things. And so I wanted something different that encompassed a little bit of everything and not necessarily because I came from luxury and I didn't necessarily want to do that again when we moved back to Texas. So that's where it started and it just kind of evolved when I realized that I could do live shows, that it evolved to other things like selling clothing, selling kid stuff, gen merch things.
What do you mean you started from luxury?
Well, when my husband and my husband's in the military, so we moved around a lot. And one of our duty stations, our last duty station actually before he retired, was in Pennsylvania, and I bought a business, a consignment shop from a friend of mine. She had a luxury consignment shop, and she was moving to another state, and I ended up buying it from her. And from there,
Hmm.
I had that business for less than 3 years. And I have to say, it was one of the best things that I ever did for myself, for my family. And that's when I realized that reselling, you can actually make a living from this. Like there is definite money there. I had a brick and mortar, but I sold a lot of things on Poshmark, mainly Poshmark. That was probably my favorite platform when it came to reselling because one, we always got the most money from Poshmark. Two, it was that kind of clientele where they wanted designer labels, luxury labels. Because I've been on Poshmark since 2015, like I mentioned. Back then and kind of still now, it was out of all the platforms, it was a platform that if you want the most for your money and you want designer or luxury labels, you came to Poshmark.
Hmm.
eBay was it's a different kind of animal. You have a different clientele, you have the vintage people, you have the prices are a little bit lower. But Poshmark was always kind of different back then in 2015.
If you don't mind me asking, you started in luxury.
hmm
So what happened? Like what made you like pivot to something else?
to be completely honest, what made me change to not luxury is one, and I'm being completely honest, I I sold a lot of things in store. A lot of because we had a lot of luxury. But a lot of my clientele, 90% of it was coming through the door. 10% of it was from Poshmark, and I made some good money on Poshmark, and I sold some beautiful things on Poshmark. But there was always that little bit of anxiety for me, was like, okay, is the other person going to be a scammer? Is that other person going to be, like, because there were times when there were claims opened up or there was something opened up, and luckily I always won those claims. But
I
I
see.
think that's why when I knew that I was going to switch to something more online, I didn't know if I wanted to be completely luxury because of that aspect, because I was
I
like,
see.
you lose one bag in luxury, that can hurt you. And that was before live selling. I knew that, and I definitely knew I didn't want to sell luxury on eBay. Like for me, I didn't want to do luxury on eBay because that was just, if you want scammers in luxury, you're definitely going to find it there. And I'm not saying anything bad against eBay, but it was just my own experience. So that's why I kind of wanted to switch from that. And also it was an emotional thing because when I owned that business, I made wonderful connections with friends. I had a wonderful community. And when I sold it, I had to also say goodbye to friends and I had to say goodbye to my employees that I didn't feel like I could recapture that joy. The luxury things were a bonus, but the connections I made was like losing, I don't know, like family members or friends because I had to say goodbye to all of that. So in a way too, it was like I don't know if I was ready to I guess open myself up to that because I knew that what made everything fun was the people that I worked with, was the people that came
Hmm.
in the store, and it wasn't always about the luxury. I liked the luxury, that was a bonus, like I said, but it wasn't what drove me and wanted, that woke me up in the morning and I wanted to go and sell stuff or whatever,
Yeah. Did you have any scammers that try to scam you out of these bags?
I on Poshmark there were a couple. Yes, on eBay it happened.
What would they do?
Yes, yes, and and
What would they try to do?
well, one would be like, and I took really good pictures of everything. One would be like, oh, well, there's a mark here, or there's this and that, or they would say that it's not authentic. There was one that even wanted to do like a little switcheroo and say this
Mm,
isn't the bag that I received. But like I said, me thinking, being proactive with that, I always made sure that whatever I sent, there was always proof.
yeah.
There was always a safeguard when I sent something. But I didn't sell a whole lot on Poshmark and eBay where it was like it happened maybe once every couple months. Where
I see.
but if I but a lot of the things I sold on Poshmark were clothes, were like designer labels. Back then when Tory Burch was popular, when all those other big brands were popular, that's what I would sell mostly on Poshmark. And then every once in a while I would sell a luxury bag. And it happened, I remember it happened three times, two times on Poshmark, one time on eBay. And I said, I think we have to put a cap on what kind of things we sell online because this is too scary, especially with the way Poshmark works, because you have to wait 3 days to get paid. You know,
Right.
you're like waiting, like you're like, okay, this was a $2,000 sale. Is everything good? You know, it was
That's
those
no
kinds of
that
scary
sounds
things.
like nerve-wracking
Yeah,
because
it
of
is definitely, definitely. And then for eBay, they required a 30, they have 30 days. You don't have a choice. You have 30 days to make a return on something. And even if you said no returns, somebody could easily say, "Hey, they could easily say it's not as described." And that's the loophole. I don't know if I should say that to everybody, but that's the loophole with eBay. Saying something is not as described and you don't take returns, you're forced to take the return and you're going
yeah,
to eat it. So that's why
1000%.
it was, and I talked to my husband about it. I said, I don't know. I know when I sold big things on these platforms, it always gave me anxiety. And it still does. And that's why you don't see a whole lot of luxury I mean, I did a couple in a show, but that's one of the reasons why I don't do a whole lot of luxury online because I think it's PTSD.
So then you switch from luxury because of how risky it could be, right?
Yes, yes.
To what did you change into? Like what did you
Well,
pivot into?
we switched into, like, my husband and I started to do more estate sales, and I wanted to do, like, I love estate sales. I love thrifting. I love sourcing. So we kind of went that route and it was a lot of fun. We loved it. I mean, it was something that my husband and I did, every couple days, or not every couple days, but like on the weekends or something we would go and we would just go thrifting. And we lived in Texas, so we love to go see all the different ranches because we live out in the country, so we would go see all these
Hmm.
different places. So that was a lot of fun. And it was just something that my husband and I did, and then I said, hey, I think this, and then we started selling things on Facebook Marketplace and, flipping them, of course. And I was like, oh, this is like so much fun. And we were doing furniture at first. And I was just like, oh my God, this is a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. And
Furniture? Like like those videos where people buy
yes.
furniture and then like redo it and then try to resell it?
Well, I didn't redo it because I'm just not that talented. But my husband's always game, but I'm more of that. Okay, we bought it, let's flip it. I don't even want to touch it. Like, let's just flip it.
Did it
Lynn,
work?
it did because there was okay, let me tell you one story. I bought two stories. I bought a I think it was a dresser and I paid
Okay.
$25 for it at a yard sale. Okay. I
Okay.
flipped it for $400.
Oh my gosh, no way.
So tell me that wouldn't get you hooked, right? And it was that just got me hooked to doing that. And my husband and I started doing that, and then I started shopping on Facebook Marketplace, and I found a lady she had 25 years of Christmas ornaments, Christmas decorations. And she said, I'm clearing out, I'm downsizing, I'm an empty nester. I went to her house and she was selling it for a certain amount of, like, I'm just going to be completely honest. She was selling it for $600 for everything. I went to her house and I looked at everything. I didn't even open the bins. And I said, I'll offer you $400 cash right now. And she was like, okay,
$400.
$400 cash. That included, we have a trailer. We had to make 2 trips for all of the ornaments. And she had the ornaments, everything was in a bin, color coded, everything
Oh my gosh.
outside. Did something happen? It said it stopped recording.
No, you're good.
Hello?
You
Okay.
can, yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay, so good thing you can edit.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we ended up going and we had to make 2 trips to get all those ornaments. It included a 20-foot outdoor Christmas tree. Lynn, I like reposted all of that stuff on Facebook and I
And
made $5,000.
$5,000
Yes, I made $5,000. And I know this because I kept receipts for everybody
for
that
so
came. I
from
made
so from
$5,000.
man. So
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 that's
the rest
where,
you must you must have went crazy.
it was, oh my gosh. And I didn't realize that how much, like, I love Christmas, don't get me wrong, but I didn't realize how much people love decorating for Christmas until
Mm.
this. And it was just so eye-opening, and it was just so, and it was a lot of fun, and it was something me and my husband did. And then, of course, and then I sold all the ornaments, and I told my husband, I was like, I think this is the new thing that I want to do. Let's do like vintage stuff. Let's do. So that's where CC Vintage came. CC comes from my maiden name and our last name. And because we have a ranch called CC Ranch. And so I was like,
You
well,
have
I
a
want to kind of keep
ranch.
yeah, I do. I do. I have a
What,
ranch.
what do you mean you have a ranch? Like you're on a ranch right now?
Yes. And that's probably why my internet's kind of spotty, because we literally live out in the country. Literally
Oh
live out in the
wow.
country. Like when I say we live out in the country, I can't see my neighbors. And if I go and check my mailbox, I have to drive my car.
So when you talk about you live out in the country, does that mean like I mean I don't want to sound dumb, but like are you milking your own cows,
Oh,
like getting your own eggs? Like is
no,
that
no.
extreme?
We don't have a cow yet. We want
Okay.
a cow is definitely there. I don't think we'll ever milk it because I would be too scared to drink it. But we do have our own eggs. We actually have Nigerian goats that my husband has bred. Our goal is
Wow.
to get cows. Honestly, our goal is to become self-sufficient, self-sustaining. We want our property to be self-sustaining. Like, for example, we grow our own meat, we grow our own vegetables, we have our own water, we have our own electric through solar. That's kind of the goal. That's truly the goal.
You should make TikTok videos, honestly.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up because my TikTok is, even though it's called CC Vintage Resale, it's actually more about the ranch than it is about resale.
That's
So
perfect.
yeah, and I figured, it's just a fun take. And once TikTok gets going, which I'm super super excited about, those are probably the things that I would want to promote there.
Yeah.
As far as like becoming an affiliate is not so much what I sell on a regular basis, but um and also to kind of get my husband involved because he's always doing stuff outside and he's always telling me like all the different toys, I like to call it, that he uses for the ranch. And I'm like, and when I told him about TikTok, I go, wouldn't it be amazing if we could actually get stuff that you could use and test out and we do videos on it? And he's like,
Yes.
yeah, that sounds like fun, and because a lot of these things, it's very hard to sell like some of the things he has if I have to deal with shipping. If I have to carry the merchandise or whatever, that stuff gets super expensive. It takes up so much space, and shipping is just, that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah. I want to go back to this furniture thing. So you did that
Yeah.
furniture thing for a while, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then what happened after that?
Okay, so we did the furniture thing, and then we ended up getting a spot in a vintage. I don't know if they have this in California, but there's a lot here in Texas. They call it like an antique store where there's like different booths and you have your own booth and you sell your stuff, but somebody owns the store, but you rent a booth. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before.
Kind of like a flea market.
Yes, yes, something
Okay.
like that. But they label it vintage, of course, or they label it antique. So we were in an antique mall. So we were doing that for a while. We actually had our own little booth, and I was out there sourcing. Some of the fun things we found was like a 1920s dresser that I sold for a steal, that I sold for a lot, and I got it for a steal. And when I say 1920, it was an amazing dresser. Absolutely. And I didn't touch it. Like I'm not one to touch things.
Is this
I
like
don't
thousands of dollars in a flip? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
wow.
Truly, it was.
Wow.
And so it was just a lot of fun. But I think and then it kind of just dwindled to me once I found Poshmark Live, that kind of went to the wayside because I really wanted to do that part. And then my husband decided to go back to work because he's retired from the military, but he decided to go back to work. And then that's where we're at now.
When you started, what year did you start on Pashos?
Pasho, you know what? Believe it or not, we're 2026. I started the very ending of 2023. Very ending. Like I'm thinking like November is what I'm thinking. And
How was it back then?
my gosh, night and day, night and day. I would go on, and it was my first show was so nerve-wracking that I didn't know how to work things, that I shut it off like after 2 minutes, and then I tried again. But I would get people in my shows, like 30, 40 people, without even trying. There was no giveaways, no anything.
No way. 30 to 40
Did
people.
Yes, unlisted, did the low starts. I had the bid wars, all that good stuff. I had a following for a while, and it was amazing. I was like, I can do this. So, of course, I never do anything small. Then I started buying pallets, and I started doing more shows and more shows. And
Pallets of what?
pallets of clothing, pallets of toys. I even did a pallet of shoes. It just kind of progressed, because you start out with the more inexpensive stuff. I think I started
Mm,
out with like Target or whatever, because that was, the pallet world, that's one of the cheapest ones to buy. Target, Amazon, things like that. And then it kind of
yep.
progressed
Yep.
to better brands, and it was amazing. Again, to be completely candid, I loved it. I made money, but no matter what, it was like a hamster wheel because it felt like I wasn't making the money that I wanted to make. I was breaking even for the most part, but I wasn't getting that traction of like, okay, we need, where I felt like it was profitable, where I said I could keep on going. And then it was just
Wait, wait,
burnout,
wait, wait,
Lynn.
wait, wait. Let me.
Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Amazon, what, TJ Maxx pallets, Nordstrom pallets.
When you say that it wasn't profitable, is that meaning that the profits that you received after you purchased
After
item and
Poshmark.
and then you purchased another pallet, it just kept going into
Yeah,
inventory and you just stuck with stuff that didn't sell? Is that kind of
right.
how it went and worked? And
Yes.
it was this endless
Yes.
loop of
It was just
investing
a
in.
hamster wheel. Yeah, it was just a constant hamster wheel. And, when you're in the pallet business, you tend to, if something doesn't sell, you don't want to show the same thing over and over again when you're doing a live show. Like, that's the
Yeah,
hardest thing, is like sometimes selling the same thing, especially clothes. Because clothes, you can have, like when I bought I bought one of my first pallets was an unmanifested pallet. And I learned things the hard way. I bought an unmanifested pallet, and it was an amazing palette, but the stuff that I got was, I remember it was clothing, and it was all the same thing, just in different sizes. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? Like, this is,
yeah.
so it was like, okay, I'm going to sell from here, and then let me go get a different palette, and let me go get, and so it was
Did
just
you
that. It was,
did you ever get like those Target clothing?
yes. Oh my
Like
gosh.
all the yeah.
Oh, yeah, all the same thing in different sizes.
Oh
Like
yeah.
literally, that's what I was doing. Like, I got a small, medium, large, and then I got 25 X's.
Yeah.
So that wasn't my audience. You know what I
But
mean?
like I
Or
think you bring up a good point because I just like I feel you. Like I understand what you're going through. I
yeah,
think what you're talking about is like a rat race, right? Where
yes,
you go live and you sell, but your margins are very thin.
yeah,
But all of that cash flow then has to be used on a new pallet.
correct.
And what people don't really account for is things that they can't sell, which is still money invested into that pallet.
Hmm.
And so over time, I'm sure you had a lot of inventory just stuck there, accumulated, dead
Yes,
stock, right? And then when you at the end of the month, you're like, well, where's the profit from
yeah.
this? So
Absolutely.
did you did you stop or did you try to keep going?
Well, I mean, you just keep going, right? You keep going because you're
Mm,
thinking that the next palette is going to be the one that like sells all, and you can just keep moving and you keep going. And I sold a lot of the inventory. It was just a constant just okay, just showing it over and over and over again. Then there was also cross listing. I sold a lot during cross listing. I also did the what do you call those? On a lot of Facebook groups, they have the buy and sell groups. I would do things like that, but it was always still I always had to think outside of the box, but it was still a lot of work to do these palettes. And I think I went gung ho for probably a good 7 months, and it was burnout. It
and
was
and
burnout.
and and as a perspective, like how much would you make per month? Like how much sales
Oh my gosh. At the time, I was making about, on a good month, like 5,000 on a good month.
on a good
But
month?
that's me breaking even, and mind you, I'm the only person doing this, so I'm also the shipper, I'm also the sorter, I'm also the person taking all the photos. I was all of the above. My husband was working, and this is not his thing, so it's like, of course, clothing, all that stuff is not his thing. The estate sales was his thing, but
Hmm.
was not his thing. So this was something that I knew that I was doing on my own. I had a wonderful following, and there were times when I did a show. I remember I was like, oh, awesome. I just sold $2,000 in this show. But that one show would just wipe me out, Lynn. Like, it would take me forever to ship things, like it would take me forever to package and ship things because I would have like 50 sales. And I'm
Yeah.
like, so it would take me forever to ship. And then like, physically that exhausted me. Mentally that exhausted me, that I was just like, I don't know if I want to do another show. Like I had to like prep myself, and that's what it started to become, the
Yep.
shows. It started to become, I got to do a show,
Well,
like
yes. Well, let me stop you right there because this is something I'm actually very passionate about talking about because,
hmm
as you know, like we have Lily and I, we have a lot of experience in terms of live selling, right? We
yes.
we grew multiple channels to well over $10 million.
hmm
And one of the biggest things that I think needs to be talked about more is that the majority of shows that I think, this is my humble opinion,
hmm
that's live right now are not profitable, right?
yeah.
People have the allure and the idea of selling live, and
hmm
so they follow all the instructions, they acquire inventory, they go live and things like that.
right.
But at the end of the day, how many of them are actually profitable? How many of them are actually stuck in a rat race
Yes.
to the bottom,
Yeah.
and they're working themselves to death, and there's zero profits at the end?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I feel like you just went through that. You went
Yeah,
through that.
I did. I did. So I think I started in November of 2023 was when I did one of my first shows. And then it was just palette after palette after palette. And going into 2024, I think by mid-year, by the time it was like June or July, I was burnt out. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it was just
Mm,
not fun. And I took a break from it. I stopped doing live shows. I literally stopped doing them. And I made wonderful, wonderful friends, to the point where, we texted each other, and she's like, when are you, one of my good friends, her name is Kelly, she was like, when are you gonna go on? When are you gonna go on? And they're like, you're so good at doing shows. I'm like, girl, it's too much work. Like, it takes too much emotional, it's not fun. And if it's not fun, I get turned off. I mean, a lot of us do, right? If it's not fun, you're like, do I really have to do this? So I started selling from my closet, doing those things. So I did that for a while. And to be honest, that was a lot more profitable than doing the live shows. A lot more
yes.
profitable. I can make
Yes.
one sale and I just made $100 versus I just did a show, and yeah, I made money. But if I were to really look at the numbers, when people say, "Oh,
Yep.
I just did a $2,000 show," okay, well, show me the real numbers though. What did you really make?
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
really make
Yes.
money? And so, when people see those things on social media, you have to ask the real questions here. Like, are they really making money?
Yeah.
Like, what did they actually pay for those things? And what about the time that they put in? Because
Yes.
literally, I would be on a show for 8 hours and I made decent money. When I say decent money, meaning I broke even. That's, for me, that's decent money. But then I spend another 8 hours or more packing.
Yep.
And then you divide the time, and I'm like, I'm barely making minimum wage. Like, what,
Yes.
and for me, those are the numbers I looked at when the show
Yep.
was over. And that's where I was like, this is not fun for me anymore. If
And
I'm
so,
not making money, why am I
yeah.
doing this?
And
You know what
and
I
the,
mean?
and the other thing that I don't understand is like, and I don't want to offend anyone, but I just think like, let's say you run an auction, right?
Mhm.
And it ends at $3 or
Oh,
$4 or
yeah,
$5. Like where's the profit in that after fees, after shipping, after
absolutely.
shipping supplies, after the gas it takes for you to go to the post office?
Yeah,
And then that's not including any time that it could possibly go wrong. Maybe the customer's not happy with it. They want a
right.
refund, their return, customer service. I think that what needs to be talked about more, the conversations that need to be talked about more, is the real struggles behind
Yes, absolutely.
everyday live shows, right? Everyday live shows,
Absolutely.
what people actually go through.
Yeah,
And of course, there's success stories. There's success stories in every category. But I think people need to have a realistic view of what they are getting themselves into before they get themselves into it.
right, right.
When you got burnt out, you took a couple months off
Hmm.
and you did closet sales. What made you kind of want to just like jump back in?
They were because I knew live sales was the future. I just knew it. Like, no matter what, I go, there's got to be a balance. There's got to be a healthy balance. And that's where I was just like, okay, I know I can make closet sales. I know I can do these things and I can make money. I go, but the more because I was always watching I was always watching lives, because I went to because then I discovered other platforms that were doing live shows, and I'm like, I want to do this again. I want to do this
Hmm.
again, but I've got to do it right. Like how, like I still, I struggled with it because I'm like, I know how to do it and I know how to keep an audience for the, back then anyway, but why am I not profitable? Like I would ask myself, why? I mean, I feel like I'm getting these products at a very good price. You know what I mean? And I had to sit and like really ask myself that. Like, what is it that, like, why am I not profitable? Why wasn't I profitable those 7 months that I was doing it nonstop, you know?
What is there anything that you changed on
Um,
this, like version two?
right now, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to grasp it. I mean, you've been to my shows, Lynn, not just on the trains, and it's a struggle. It's like still trying to gain that footing because I feel like the algorithm has changed so much from when I did it before. And I know it's an entertainment value, but at the same time, I know that I have to be myself. And there's certain things that I will do and there's certain things that I won't do on a live show, and sometimes I am somebody's cup of tea and sometimes I'm not. You know what I mean? But now it's right now I'm in that mode of clearing out. So I am going against my own rules of doing low starts because I don't like low starts because that's the kind of audience you bring in. You do a $3 show, you're going to get a $3 person, right? And if you don't have the audience, a $3 or $5 start is not where you should be starting your stuff. You should be starting it at the minimum so that you can at least break even until you start to build your following. And I broke my I'm currently breaking my own rules. If anybody's been to my show lately in the past week, I'm breaking my own rules. And there's a reason for that because I am honestly I'm clearing out because it's like when I came into 2026, one of the biggest things I told myself is I need to make room. I need to make room
Mm.
both spiritually, both personally, and both just business wise. And all that old inventory that I was holding on to, I have to cut those out, and
Mm.
that's why I'm clearing out right now. That's why I'm doing my $3. Right before I came on with you, that's actually what I was doing. I was like, okay, these things didn't sell during my $3 show. Guess what? They're gonna get donated, and they're gonna get donated. I'm gonna write it off or whatever, because I'm like I'm
Yep.
over it. Because you know, I was reading my Bible and one of the scriptures, and I don't know it verbatim, but one of the things it said that resonated with me that I knew I was doing the right thing was you have to prune in order for new fruit to come,
Yes.
and that's what I'm doing. And can I share one thing, like really
Absolutely.
crazy, when I made that decision?
Yes.
So, you know, no, I told you I used to sell luxury. I used to own a luxury consignment shop. I kept a lot of my luxury stuff. And one of the things when I was clearing out, I was like, throwing out boxes, throwing out clothes or whatever. I found something in a box. And when I opened the box, I was in shock. Let me show you what I found. Because then this was just what told me I am doing the right thing, clearing out and
Let
making
me
room.
see.
Let
Let me
me just
see.
show it.
Let me see. Let me see.
Look at what I found. I completely forgot I had this.
Oh my gosh.
A Chanel GST. I completely forgot I had this. And
Wow.
I'm ready to sell it. I'm not.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I mean,
There we go. Wait, how
okay.
much do you think that thing is worth?
This right here, I think, and this is over 6 years old, because this is even older because I got this pre-owned when I owned my shop. I completely forgot I had it.
Oh
I
my
was moving
gosh.
around some boxes and I was like, why does this box feel like there's something in it? I opened it. I was in shock. In
Wow.
complete shock. And my husband, he was just like, Jen, yeah, we need to go see what else you have hiding upstairs, because he just couldn't believe that I found this, and I completely forgot I had it. And I had to think
How
back, and
how much do you think that will go for?
this easily, I think I could definitely ask 3,000, and that's a steal.
Wow.
It's a steal, because one, they don't make it anymore. Two, this is in like excellent condition. It has the original dust bag. It has the original Chanel box. So and I, like I said, I completely forgot I had it. I think I was just kind of like, I kept it in the box because I didn't want dust or sunlight to touch it.
Yep.
And I'm just so excited because that right there was just like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of started crying because I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be clearing and making room, because that's you know it's just what needs to be done.
For sure. And I think one of the biggest things that you said that I truly believe in is life selling is huge, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's so now let me extrapolate that. Just because something is huge doesn't mean that everyone will have success
Right.
and every platform is going to do well for you. I think
Hmm.
personally, and you've been reselling for many years, so have Lily and I. And reselling is up and down, has its moments, right?
Absolutely.
But I think as life selling grows, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation, and I really personally believe this, is that there's going to be so many platforms.
Absolutely.
And resellers and sellers alike should have the freedom to choose which platform they feel is best fit for them, right? Every
Hmm.
platform has its own advantages, disadvantages. And so what doesn't may not work for you on one platform doesn't mean that the idea of it is a failure. It just
Yes.
means that the execution on that platform may not be for you, right?
Yes.
Correct? So
Absolutely.
so I don't think, like, just based on all your experience, and you had a lot of experiences, and
Hmm.
obviously you are determined, you want to keep growing, you want to keep doing these things. And I just think that because you've been in the industry, you understand so much of it. One of these platforms is going to work in your favor really, 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 really well.
Yes.
Yes.
I think
But
so.
yeah, but I certainly don't think that I think it's a good decision not to be in a rat race. Like who wants to be in a rat race,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's
Absolutely.
tell me about your experience on the train. Like when did you join us on the rate train?
And Lynn, I joined, I think my first one was with you guys was in July of 2025, right?
Back then in July?
I
Really?
think, well, when did you guys have because I think it was your
Oh,
second train. It was your second train that
I
you guys
remember
did.
that. Yes.
And I was
Yes.
on it.
Yes.
And I remember I was just like, oh, and I've been to your trains, I've been to your shows, and I saw
Yeah.
how huge it was. And then I remember I got an email saying if you want to be part of the train, and I also joined your Facebook group, Open Talk,
Perfect.
and I was just like, I want to be part of it. And I think I took one of the last slots on your second train. And I was like, you know what? I have some like Halloween stuff like from one of the palettes I got. And I said, let me just try it. And it was amazing. It was so much fun. I will say my biggest regret was I didn't sell better stuff on your
Yeah.
train. That was my biggest regret. And then that was I think, to be honest, that was my second show from taking a break, because
Mm,
right before your show I did a show just to kind of make sure that I knew how to use the Poshmark features, like nothing changed. So
yeah.
I did a show on my own, and then I did your train. So you and Lily were part of what wanted me to get back into reselling, like reselling live anyway. And then I did another one with you guys, I think in September. was the next one that I did. And no particular reason. I think there was really no reason why I didn't want to do another train. Is just I think I just waited until again September when I reached out again and said, "Do you guys have another opening? I'd love to do it again." And then
Yeah.
from then on, I think not I actually I think it was in October. I reached out to you guys in September, and then the next show I did again was in October
Yeah.
with you guys.
How
Yeah.
do you remember how much you made?
That since that was my second one, oh my gosh. I think that it was little. I think I did like 500, I think.
Okay.
That was my second one, and that one I was selling a lot of just it wasn't designer. It was just cute little bundles, like Juicy Couture or little makeup bundles or like little just like cute stuff.
Do you want where do you want to go from here, Jen? Like, I mean, like I listened to your story very closely and I think it resonates to a lot of people. I think a lot of people find that interesting, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not just roses for
No.
like there's a lot of backstory on what people actually go through. What do you
Absolutely.
what is your dream, Jennifer? Like if you just had to write it down, you said to me that you want to make room for new things, right?
Yes.
What is your dream? Like what do you want to do?
My dream is to be able to make a solid living from reselling, a solid living from this so that I have financial freedom, so I can build a legacy. That is my dream. I want to be able to do, I want to be able to do a live show and it becomes natural, I want to be able to I guess use all the platforms that I have at my fingertips literally. I mean, I'm going to say my age. I'm going to be 50 this year, okay? And I grew up in a time when we didn't
I
have cell phones.
I wouldn't even have known that, honestly. That's
Yeah. So I grew up in a time we didn't have cell phones. I grew up in a time when we actually had to go to a physical school. There was no such thing as online schools and getting an online education. So I had to actually go to work and put my kids in a daycare. I had to go do those things. Now I get to make money literally from my phone. I get
yeah.
to, and that's what I had to tell myself when I started doing the trains and going back to reselling is okay, I know that there's challenges, but guess what? We get to do this. Like, we get to actually sell from home if we wanted
Yeah.
to. We can make money from this. It's just
So let's break down
have
that.
to figure it out.
Let's just break that down. So your goal is you want to stay in reselling. I love it.
Yes,
But you want to find a path to financial freedom, right? Through reselling,
absolutely.
right?
Yes.
You are now in the space of live social selling, which means that
Mhm.
you're at your home and you can literally put anything in front of the camera and sell in seconds, right?
Yes.
What you've been struggling with is number one, viewership and the ability for your viewers to bid at a price where you're profitable and
Yes.
the challenge with inventory and logistics, right? So
Yes.
those are the things that is stopping you or have stopped you previously in hitting your next like your goals, right?
Yes.
So let's change that in 20 this is a brand new year, Jen. A
Yes.
brand new year,
I'm
right?
excited. I want to do it. I want to do it
It's a
all, but
brand new
I want
yes,
to be strategic about
yes.
it, and not
I
burn
think
myself out.
I think yes, for sure. And that's another topic is burning out. But I think look, being on Poshmark is fantastic.
Hmm.
It's a fluid system. It has a lot of features. I think the issue for you is being able to go live and not having to do a $3 stunt and have people
Yes.
bid $3 and then you're
Hmm.
stuck with 5 cents, right? I think you should literally change your perspective on going live on Poshmark and strictly just stay on the train because when you stay
Okay.
on our trains, what ends up happening is that you'll have hundreds of people in your room
Hmm.
ready to buy, right? Where you don't have to waste time, you don't have to do any of that. It's already pre-made for you.
Yes.
Okay. And I think you can make $500,000, $2,000, whatever it is you want to make, depending on what type of inventory you have. I wouldn't run your Chanel bag.
No.
I think, but I think, and we have a lot of obviously plans for the train for this year. But I think, in a nutshell, if I told you on the train, if you did it twice a week, 8 times a month, and you
Hmm.
have the ability to make $10,000 a month, I think that would be amazing for you, correct?
That it would be life changing. Life
Okay.
changing.
So let's put that in its own category box. I think that could
Okay.
be life changing for you. I think that will put you in the correct trajectory and momentum that you seriously need. Then when 2026, there's these platforms that's just growing like crazy, right? TikTok Shop is
Yes.
just blowing up like insane, right? So the fact that you can one on our trains make 500 or 1,000 or $2,000 in 30 minutes means that you can now right now have more time to explore other platforms, right? You don't, as a
Yes.
reseller, you shouldn't be just on one platform. Like you should try to test multiple platforms to see which
Mm-hmm.
one works best for you.
Yes,
TikTok Shop is
absolutely.
just going insane. I think TikTok Shop will make more millionaires, 10 millionaires than any other platform that's previously have been done. It's
Yes.
wild, right? So I think that's, you let's stick with your goals of clearing out stuff
Mm-hmm.
so you can focus on new initiatives. That I think that should be a new initiative for you. Now,
Yes, absolutely.
combined Poshmark, TikTok Shop, and maybe new platforms that will come in 2026, both of these combined, I think can equal 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a month
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
2026 for you. Honestly,
Yes.
I honestly believe that. So I think we should focus on those things, Jen. I really think
Okay.
we should focus on those things. I think you've been trying for a long time. You had great success, not so successful at things, but for you, you just keep trying. And
Yes.
you never given up. The
Oh,
burnout
no.
is real, and so I think this is the right fit for you. Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really, really excited. I definitely love doing the trains. The first time I did your train, I was hooked. I said, see, this is how I want to sell. I want to utilize my time wisely,
yes,
efficiently, and not be on a show for 8 hours and, you know, yeah, not be on a show for 8 hours and spend another 8 hours shipping. Like
yeah,
that is not
no,
efficient because it
no.
kills you the next day. It
See,
takes me, you
a
know,
lot of a lot of people think that going on longer means more money, and I don't
yeah.
believe that's even true. Like we've seen people make tens of thousands of dollars in a few minutes.
Yes.
So it's really how you design it and what type of program you're part of. I think you're part of an amazing community,
Yes, absolutely.
and I just think that it's just a little bit of a switch. Like like a lot of people think that you need to go down like a pathway of just a totally different direction. I don't think so. For you, I think you
No.
just need to make minor optimizations
Thanks. Right.
and tweaks, and I think you'll find it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I do love the reselling part, and I love the fact that you and Lily came on and created this community because that's the hardest part. Is like I made friends on Poshmark and I love them, but to be part of this is like it's a whole nother thing, because you've changed lives and you give people hope that they can do this too. Because it's hard. It's hard when you're like, because like here at home, I can talk to my husband about it, but his eyes just kind of glaze over. But to be able to surround yourself and to surround yourself with people who are also like-minded and know more than you, it's like that whole saying, you are the average of the five people in the room. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I want to
Yeah.
surround myself with people who know more so that I can be that sixth person and be in that average, right?
I
I don't
love
want to
it.
be the smartest person in the room. I want to be the dumbest person in the room so that I will learn and grow and get better
Well,
no
I
matter
think
how old I am.
I think the great thing about you is you listen,
Yes.
and you're absorbing information like crazy. That's my thing. First of all, I appreciate you sharing your story. I really
Oh, thank
do.
you.
And I don't think you should look at your struggles. I think those struggles is going to set you up for another chance at success, right? And
Mhm.
it's going to be up to you whether you are going to take advantage of it. But the good news is that in this age of 2026, there's AI and there's live
Yes,
selling, right?
absolutely.
You people can make money faster than any other period at any time in history now, right? So if you're not making money with these two things, AI and live social selling, I don't know what you're doing,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
you are on a cusp of that. So I think you should stick with it. Obviously, don't keep doing things that is not working, right?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
So keep doing things that is in betterment of your journey. If you ever feel like you're in this rat race, I think you should get out of the rat race because that's not productive.
Yes.
And you just gotta keep going, Jen. You gotta keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got to ask yourself, I mean, anybody that's in my shoes, you just have to ask yourself the hard question and you have to make the hard decision. You know,
Yes.
you can either stay stuck in the past and just be like, well, maybe I can save it, or you just have to let go and move on. Like there's got to be a point you make that decision, because if you don't make that decision, you're always going to be stuck. And I
Yeah.
think that's what was going on, because I still had all of my old inventory and I was stuck. I was stuck because I'm like, well, I spent money on that. And I'm just like, you know what? It's done. It's over. I'm going to call it a loss. If I don't love it, it's leaving. And Lynn, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have found my Chanel bag. You know, and I can only
That is
imagine
so
what else.
crazy.
I can
That is
only imagine what
crazy.
else is hidden in my in my death pile. You know, like all us resellers have a death pile. I don't even know what
Oh,
else is hidden in my death pile.
that's a crazy death pile. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
it's crazy. I have 2 minutes left. Is there anything you would like to share? Anything that you learned?
Um, that
If
I
you have one
learned.
or one or two pieces of advice that you would like to share, or
Okay,
just one,
and this just one,
just
because
one,
you know I'm long winded.
just one.
Okay. One biggest piece of advice is don't give up. You know, don't give up when you feel like, because I had those moments, I wanted to give up. Don't give up. Because if this is what you really want to do, don't give up, because your mistakes, your struggles, your failures, it's a lesson and you have to see it as that. And also change your mindset. It's not I got to do it, it's I get to do it. I get to do this, not I got to, because then it becomes less of an obligation, you know, and it's an opportunity. Sorry, that was more
Thank
than
you,
one.
Jennifer. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on Open Talk, and I hope to talk to you very, very soon. Okay,
Yes, absolutely. Thank
take
you,
care.
Lynn. Okay, bye bye.
Bye.